Hello there, everyone. This is Mr. D. Um, it's Sabbath again, and I'm bringing you a story that I wasn't sure what I wanted to give you tonight, but I was asking God, and it seems like something that hits us has been hitting me hard all this week. My grandchildren, um, they're going through quite a stage because they seem to not follow the right eating habits with their mother, and they sneak a lot. You know how kids do that. And they don't eat all the right foods that they should eat, that all the sugars and stuff like that, and candy and chocolate. Oh, of course, and bacon and pork chops and that kind of stuff. All kids seem to like that. All the stuff that seems to be bad for our bodies seems to be what the kids like. Before I forget, make sure you mark down, subscribe if you haven't yet, and any comments. I hope to have my screens become more vivid and live as I bought some stuff to maybe enhance my YouTube stuff. So maybe you'll see a little bit clearer what I have in the background. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to ask you a question. Do you think you eat healthy? Do you eat the right foods? Or like 3ABN commercial says, is your mother make you the right food? Are you eating what God wants you to eat? I think we all have a problem with eating. I know I do. And we usually like to eat what we like, but we have to have some kind of guidelines. And the guidelines have been here for a long time. Guidelines were in place back when God created the heavens and earth, and he gave the garden to Adam and Eve and told them what they were able to eat off all the fruits and the grains and everything that was from the ground. I don't think he was eating animals yet. It wasn't until they messed up and they got kicked out of the garden, and then God supplemented them. But I found some quotes in the Bible about how God feels about what we should eat, and I'm going to mention those in just a little bit. But I want to ask you a question: was there somebody in the Bible who stood up to the principles of God, that was willing to die for what he believed? See, the Jewish nation, the Israelites, Jerusalem, they kind of, they did, I don't think they were following God exactly what they should be doing. And they ended up getting conquered. They ended up getting made into slaves by the Babylonian king, Nebuchadnezzar. And when he did that, he took some of the stuff that was God's, out of their treasure chest, or what you want to call it, were the religious stuff, and they took their nobles and stuff. Um, the Bible mentions about that, about what happened there, and I have it on I wrote it down so I could read it easier. That's what I did. Okay, there we go. It says in Daniel. That's what we're talking about. Daniel. Daniel was one of the people. In Daniel 1, he writes, and the king spoke to Ashpenazar, master of his eunuch, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and the king's seed and of the princes, the children whom was not with no blemish, but well favored, skillful in all wisdom, and cunning in knowledge and understanding of science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, of whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. See, the Babylonians wanted the best of the cream. So that's who they're talking about, the best. And they want to make them even better by knowing their own language. And the king appointed them a daily provision of king's meat, of wine, which he drank. So he nourishing them for 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. Now, see, this is a king that cares, I think. He didn't have to do that. He didn't have to put out his own private stock to these Israelites that they conquered, but he did. Maybe he was inspired by God in the back of his mind. You never know. Now, among these were the children of Judah, which was Daniel, Hannah, Mishael, and Ezra. I probably got those wrong. To whom this prince, the prince of Enex, gave names, renamed them from their Israelite names to a Babylonian names. He changed Daniel to Belshazzar, and Hannah, Shadrach, and Misha to Meshach, and Eziar to Abednego. I have trouble with some of these words, but you can see the Babylonians changed their names, and they wanted to make sure that they were fed right and everything, which leads up to what happened. The king, by giving all these foods, Daniel ended up, let me step back out of this. It's easier to see your faces. Yeah, like I could really see your faces. The king wanted them to be healthy, wanted them to learn everything. And you can't learn new stuff on a mind that's really not getting the right nutrients. You have to have the right nutrients. The right nutrients will help you learn faster. So Daniel proposed to his caregiver, whoever the person is that he's in charge over him, and he told him, he says he couldn't eat this stuff. This stuff is what I remember. I remember this food from the kings was part of the idol foods that they would end up, because kings were at the top, and this was the plush of food. I mean, this wasn't the garbage you got on the street. This was good, wholesome food, the king thought, but it wasn't what God wanted. And Daniel knew that. And Daniel knew that he needed to be what God wanted him to be, like we should. We should be eating the stuff that God wants us to eat. We shouldn't be slopping down those juicy bacon and pork chops down our body and all that grease and crud. And my wife said once had I ever seen pigs, and how the bottom of their hoofs, this pus comes out of the hoofs into the water, and that's what makes the water pus in there. And you're eating this pork with the pussy stuff. Well, Daniel didn't want to eat that. Daniel was going to eat what God wanted to do, which was grains and fruits. And he did. Oh, and water, it said in the Bible. He wanted water too, not wine, not soda. I don't think there was a soda machine around, but nothing that wasn't but just clean, fresh water. So all this went on, and he made a deal with the leader that if he was given 10 days, then retest them and compare them to the others, that they would be impressed. Well, they did. And you know what? They were impressed, because Daniel and his group of friends, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they did well too, because they ate the same food as Daniel. Maybe it kind of tells us that maybe we should be eating more wholesome food instead of that bread, a lot of carbohydrates and sugar. Oh, sugar, donuts. Oh, the donuts go right up the top. We can't leave donuts out, but donuts, just all the sodas, sugar drinks. I could go on and on and on. I hear it from the doctors over my grandchildren. Don't eat this and don't eat that, and eat 3 servings of this. It's kind of hard, for us to keep you guys on the right path. But you know what? God gave us an outline, and his outline kind of covers the whole ball of wax of what we should eat as what he considers clean food, because there's unclean food too. There's a whole section on unclean also, but the clean food was mentioned in the Bible. Let's go back to our little printout again. Okay. The clean food is mentioned in Genesis 9:3. Hold on a second. Let me see if we can get this thing to it. Yeah, Genesis 9:3. And it said, every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you. Even as the green herbs have I given you all these things. Wow, that's a very open thing about everything that crawls. He's not really mentioning at that point, but he does mention, and I believe that probably somewhere he might have mentioned the eating meat earlier, but it says in 9:3 that everything that is on the earth he can eat. Well, according to Leviticus, the Lord spoke when he spoke to Moses. He spoke to the children of Israel, saying, these are the beasts which you shall eat among all the beasts that are on the earth. Whatever parts the hoof and is cloven footed and chews the cud among the beasts, that you shall eat. Wow, that's pretty strange. I don't know I know cows have hoofs, and I think they're cloved, and I think they chew a cud. So cow, beef, that seems to be okay. Nevertheless, these shall you not eat of them that chew the cud, or them that of them. You not eat of them that chew the cud, or them that divide the hoof. Nevertheless, these shall you not eat of them. Probably because of the divided hoof, I would bet you. Okay, like a camel, as camel, because he chews the cud, but his hoofs are not divided. He is unclean to you. So that's an important issue, the way the hoof is, whether it's divided or not divided. And the cunny, because he chews the cud, but divides not the hoof, he is unclean. And the hare, well, rabbits, because he chews the cud, but divides not the hoof, he is unclean. So we don't want to eat rabbits and swine. Oh, here's our pigs. Though he divides his hoofs and he clove-footed, yet he chews not his cud. See, it's pretty clear. He is unclean to you also. Of their flesh shall you not eat, and their carcass you shall not touch, or they are unclean to you. I read somewhere that if you touch any of the unclean meat, you become unclean till the end of the day. I don't remember exactly where that's at, but I do know it's. Now hold on a second. I'm trying to get this here. I'm trying to bring it down so I can. It's not coming down. I don't know why, but it's. I'm just see. Of their flesh you not eat. These shall you eat of all that are in the water, whatever has fins and scales in the water, in the sea, and in the river, them you can eat. All right. Let's see now if we can scroll this thing down. Here we go. And all that have not fins and scales in the sea and in the river, of all that move in the water, and of any living thing which is in the water, they shall be an abomination to you. Wow. So we got to make sure that they have fins, and we got to make sure they have scales when you get fish. Like my wife says, you don't want to eat the bottom fish. Those are your garbage men. They eat all the trash on the bottom of the ocean. Whatever has no fins, I think I said, no, in the water, that shall be whatever has no fins nor scales in the water, that shall be abomination. And these are they which you have in abomination among the fowls. They should not be eaten, birds. They are abomination the eagle, the ostrich, osprey, whatever that is, and a vulture, and the kite after his kind, every raven after his kind, and the owl, and the nighthawk, and the cuckoo, and the hawk after his kind, and little owls, and cormorant, and the great owl. These you do not all eat. Okay. And the swarm, and the pelican, and the gier eagle, the stork, the heron after her kind, and the lapwing, and the bat. You can see we're basically talking about all birds you shouldn't eat. Doesn't mention anything about chicken, I notice. Yet these may you eat, every flying, creeping thing that goes on all four, which have legs above their feet, and leap on the earth. I don't know. Does that sound like maybe a chicken? Yet these may you eat, of every flying, creeping thing that goes on all four, which have legs above their feet to leap with on earth. And even these, them you may eat, the locust after his kind, the bald locust after his kind, and the beetle after his kind, and the grasshopper after his kind. But all other flying, creeping things which have 4 feet shall be abomination to you. Now, I'm sure we can find more references to what we should and should not eat. I think the main thing we need to remember is when we're eating, that if we could abstain from eating flesh foods, I think most food that's edible, that's grown from the ground, we can probably eat, unless it's a food that we're not supposed to eat. And I think that's not hard to find. You can always go to the grocery store and buy everything in vegetables and fruits and nuts. I know there's lots of juices and stuff that are just fine. I mean, they have a little bit more sugar than you should, and that's not good for your body. That's how some people become diabetic. Some people become obese and large. I was, believe it or not, I was obese and large. But 25 years ago, I was obese and large. I was 300 pounds. Can you believe that? Now I'm only 185 pounds. Yeah, I dropped down a little bit. And it may not be totally from the right foods I eat, but I do know it's a lot less food that I eat, because quantity can make a difference too, as well as the type of food. You don't want to eat a lot of good food and get fat. You want to eat what makes you comfortable. They say so many calories, but your body knows when it's full. You don't have to pack it down with all that food in your stomach and then have trouble sleeping or trouble doing things, or get pains in the stomach as we get older because we eat too much. So the purpose of this story is that Daniel, he followed a platform that was laid down by God, a platform that would keep him healthy, keep his mind stimulated in the right direction towards God, so God could use him. And God does use Daniel. Daniel is very, very important in God's preparation for the last day, and also for Jesus coming. Without Daniel, well, they'd have had to find a different prophet if Daniel wouldn't have been around, because what Daniel gives us later on in the Bible leads us to the coming of Jesus, the last days, the days when this earth will, when Jesus come back. So Daniel is important. And there's new stories that I will tell with Daniel and his friends that they get into, that they get out of too. Stories that there's no way that it could have happened, but it did. There's things in this world that happen we can't understand or control, and we don't know what they are, but we have to live in it. And if we have a better idea of what's going on through the book, the Bible, or with basically making sure that whatever's happening is not something that feels bad, like going and stealing something from the store or doing something that wouldn't be what Jesus would want you to do. But you got to remember, you got to keep your mind straight. You got to keep it clean, and you need to be prepared. So by eating the right foods is the most important thing. So Daniel came out ahead. Flying colors looked good. Now Nebuchadnezzar has things that are getting ready to happen. But Daniel will be ready because he's all there with God. Well, I hope that this opens up some ideas of foods that we can and cannot eat. This world needs help on that part. But thank you for watching this video. I hope that it was worth it. And my next video was going to be next week at San Marcos Adventist Church. I'm going to give the children's story. I don't want to tell you, but it's going to be loud. It's going to be really loud. Maybe even God will hear it from up above. So you take care. Don't forget to subscribe. Leave me a comment. May God be with you. This is Mr. D.